What's up, guys? It is Sunday. Happy Father's Day to all of you metal daddies out there. That sounded better in my head than it did coming out. Back on the CD collection this week. I took last week off. We'll get back on it this week. Still in the K section. Almost 90 videos in. We're on 89 and still in the Ks. That is absolutely absurd. Jumping in, we have some melodic black metal out of Sweden. This is Kavel. I probably pronounced that wrong, as I always do, with their debut full-length entitled The Funeral Pyre. Fantastic release on Blackline Records. Loved this album when it came out. It came out, in 2020, I believe? And I've been following this band since first hearing this, and I really loved that debut full length. They actually took a step up last year with their follow up to that entitled The Great Below. You know you're making it as a band when you have like Jeff Loomis doing solo pieces on your album, guest appearance solo pieces on your album. I know some people will look at this band as like I've heard it kind of described as like pagan black metal and Viking black metal, but in my head they are just totally melodic black metal, and they do it phenomenally. They are masters at their craft. If you have not checked this band out, definitely go. You can find them pretty easy. It's K-V-A-E-N is how you spell their band name. You can find them pretty easy on the Blackline Records Bandcamp or website, because they're probably one of the better selling artists on that label. Next up, we have some black metal out of Norway. This is Kavalvog with Noema. This is their debut full-length. Fantastic release. I have their two follow-ups to this, but unfortunately they were released on A5 digipacks, so they won't be shown in this video. I may jump in and show all my A5s and DVDs after I get through the entirety of the CD collection, but those were the two follow-ups are there. This is probably my favorite of their three releases, and I really like all of their releases. Just black metal, kind of focuses on Norwegian superstitions and the occult. There's a bit of a Tolkien vibe going on, as you can probably gather from that artwork as well, but good stuff there from Kavalvog. Next up, we have a band that I just talked about yesterday on the Paragon Records Hall. This is a Greek black metal project. A lot of black metal so far in this video. This is Cavel with Necro Hill. This came out, I think, in 2016, and this is probably my favorite. Well, there's probably no probably to it. This is my favorite release that I've heard from this project. This is what brought me in and kind of hooked me into this band. Just no frills. Black metal, icy cold stuff. I absolutely love this. Definitely highly recommend that you check this one out as well. I have the follow-up. I just talked about this one yesterday, and I went ahead and shelved it and put it in for this video. Have the follow-up to Necro Hill. This one is entitled Long May They Haunt Us. This came out, I think, in 2018. It just feels like a continuation of the prior full-length. Do I like it as much? Maybe not as much, but that's not knocking this as a full length. It just feels like more of the same, but at the same time, more of the same is actually pretty good, because it was a great continuation of a great sound that they had going. And then I have their EP that came out, I think last year or 2021, I can't remember, entitled Kong. Pretty good. It's pretty short. It's only 4 tracks, but it's still a pretty solid little EP. Kind of changing the sound up a little bit on this one, it felt like, but at the same time, that could spell something good for the next full length. If they have another full length in the works, maybe changing the sound up a little bit will be like some progression and moving forward with the band. So keeping an eye on them, and looking forward to seeing what they have coming up in the future. Next up, we have some sludgy. It's kind of like psychedelic, sludgy, experimental at times stuff. This is Kailessa with their From the Vaults Volume 1 compilation. It's okay. I got this in a Season of Mist, either in a grab bag or like off the clearance rack or something. I can't, honestly, I can't remember. It's decent. Is it something that I'm going to pull off the shelf and listen to every day? Absolutely not. But for what it is, it's a pretty decent release. And then I have their latest full length. I believe this band is either split up or on hiatus now, but this is their latest full length that came out in 2015, I believe. This is Kailessa with let me see. Exalting Fire. I can't read. But yeah, this one's pretty good. I definitely like this better than the compilation. At least it flows like an actual album. That definitely does it a good thing as in comparison to something that can be a little disjointed when you have compilation albums. But it's pretty decent. If you're into sludgy stuff, you might be into that. The psychedelic and overly progressive parts can be a little off-putting, but all in all, it's a pretty decent listen. Next up, we have some doom metal out of Finland that focuses on Russian history. This is Kype with Yepo. Yeah, I butchered that. This is their debut full length. It came out in 2008. It's the only release that I own from this band, but it's actually pretty solid. I got this, I believe, at an FYE many years ago, and it was in the used bin. And I checked it out, and I actually liked it. I haven't picked up any of their other material, but for what this is, I thought I was getting like some. It looks like it would be like some Russian industrial or something, but it is some definite doom metal. So nice little surprise there. Next up, we have some South American black metal. I forget exactly where this band hails from. It's kind of run-of-the-mill black metal. This is Kythrone with a Cult de Toads, and it's good. I'm not knocking it and saying it's bad by any means. It's just a little bit unmemorable. Like each track, if you were to listen to them on their own, it sounds like a solid black metal track, but they're not reinventing the wheel in any way. I love the artwork on the CD though. It's just it's not super memorable to me. It kind of fits the bill and scratches the itch if you want to hear some black metal, but you're not gonna walk away from listening to this album feeling like you've gained something, if that makes any sense. Next up, we have a band out of Italy. This is Lab 11 with Exceed the Veil of Maya. This looks like it would be like some gothy. Honestly, I got this in a grab bag, and just judging from that artwork, it's probably something that I never would have listened to had I just judged it on the artwork alone. So I guess it's good that I got it in a grab bag. This is kind of thrashy. Thrash metal that kind of delves into death metal here and there. It's actually a pretty decent listen. It came out in 2010, and that's one good thing about grab bags and stuff. Sometimes like stuff like this I never ever would have heard had it not been for me getting it in a grab bag. Next up, we have some melodic gore metal, is how it is tagged. This is Laboratory of Mortuary with Splattered Then Decays. This is some gore grind, death grind. It does get a little melodic, but not. I think that's just kind of tongue in cheek. The fact that they have that in the little side there. This was released on Kitchen Vomit Records. Unfortunately, this is the only EP that this project ever put out. And that is kind of unfortunate for me because I did find this to be enjoyable. You can find this CD for next to nothing. I think they must have printed up 1,000 of these or something, because you can find them on eBay or Discogs or anything for next to nothing. And it's good if you're into brutal death metal, if you're into brutal death grind and that type stuff. I mean, gore grind, you can tell from that artwork. I definitely recommend picking that one up, especially at the price point that you can grab it, because it's definitely a worthwhile purchase in my humble opinion. Let me take a little swig and we'll keep moving right on. Next up, we have some black metal out of Brazil. This is Labyrinth Spell with Shadows and Dust. This one's pretty good. Some kind of occult themed, mystic themed black metal. It doesn't. I thought I was getting into something like super symphonic or even possibly melodic, when I got this. I purchased this and blind bought it off of Paragon Records. Imagine that. It seems like I'm name dropping Paragon Records quite a bit as of late, but it is a distro that I have found myself just kind of falling in love with. This is pretty good. I did find it enjoyable, but is it going to stand out from other stuff in the collection all the time? Probably not, but it is still a good listen. Next up, we have some Death Doom, melodic Death Doom out of Germany. This is the debut album from Lacrimus Profundir. It's entitled And the Wings Embraced Us. Phenomenal release. This was originally released in 1995, I think, somewhere along in there. This is the reissue that came out in 2003. Kind of hard to get your hands on this now, but if you do stumble across this, especially if you're into Death Doom, I highly recommend it. Later on, the band kind of took this gothy turn. The seeds of that gothy turn are always present in the project. You can kind of hear in this release where they were headed, but as far as the material goes, this one I feel like is just an essential release, especially if you're into Death Doom. It is by far my favorite Lacrimus Profundir release, and I highly recommend it. If you can hunt this one down, definitely do so, especially if you can find it at a good price. That is the only release that I do own from that project. Speaking of goth metal, you guys should be pretty familiar with the next band. We're going to have several of their releases to show. This is the debut EP from the band Lacuna Coil, self-titled. It still has the little Hastings tag. I'm all blurry. As you can see, the used. Usually I would change the case out or peel that little sticker off of there, but now like any kind of Hastings tag or anything has a bit of charm to it with them not being around anymore, a bit of a feel of nostalgia, so I just left that used tag on there. I picked this up cheaper. It says $5.99. I got it much cheaper than that when they were doing their clearance and clearinghouse and closing down sales. Next up, I have their first full-length. This one is entitled In a Reverie. This one's pretty good. Not my favorite Lacuna Coil release, but it is pretty decent. I do like if it's a band that you like. I figure this is probably one of their must-own albums. They have a few that I would throw and kind of lump into that, and they're all at the beginning of their discography. Next up, we have probably my favorite Lacuna Coil release. This one is Unleashed Memories, and I feel kind of like a mark saying that because this is the one that kind of back, I guess in my heyday, was the one that kind of catapulted their stardom. I believe they had a tour going with Type O Negative at some point around the release of this, so there we go. And then another one that I really do enjoy, this is Comalize. I didn't pick up that. They did like a re-recording of this, I think last year. I don't have that one. I kind of look at it the same way I look at In Flames redoing Clayman, especially when things were coming out in this time period, around in this time period when I was really finding stuff and everything felt new and exciting to me. If something's not broke, don't fix it. You know, I mean, it's just I don't understand. I don't know if it's just a cash grab or what, but I felt like there was no need to redo Comalize. As far as the must-own Lacuna Coil material, that's probably where I would stop. The follow-up to Comalize, I did not like at all. This is Karma Code. I just could not get into this one. I tried revisiting it not too terribly long ago to give it another go, and I don't think I made it through the entire album. I just kind of got bored and started focusing my attention on other things, and I don't remember listening through it all the way. Next up, we have the follow-up to that entitled Shallow Life. I have a little bit of more fond memories with this release just because I met the band at a show in Atlanta when they were touring it in support of this album. So I got them all to sign it, and I've always had a thing for Christina Scavia just because I think they started blowing up when puberty was had its hooks in me, and all of that stuff. So I was always kind of a Christina Scabia simp, but I do look back fondly on that album just because that's the one where I got to meet them. The follow up to that, Dark Adrenaline. That one I did like. I spent a little bit more time with this one. I don't know if it's just, sometimes you see a band live and you enjoy the show and have an experience like that. You kind of rekindle that fire for that project or whatever. That might have been the case for this because I did spin Dark Adrenaline quite a bit. It's still in the original case that I got it in. It has a little crack and stuff down there at the bottom just because it did get carted around and played in the car and everything else in that time period. Next up, we have Broken Crown Halo. Wasn't super huge on this one, but this was like the Hastings special release that came with the autograph card and all that stuff. I have it displayed in my other room. It has the bonus DVD and everything with it. I haven't spent a ton of time, honestly, with this particular release. The actual digipack still looks almost immaculate, and with this was released in 2014, so it's almost 10 years old, and I haven't and it almost looks brand new. So, and then one that a lot of people didn't like, and I absolutely love this release. This is Delirium. I spent a ton of time with this one, and I don't understand the hate for it. For me, it's one of the, as far as the latter era Lacuna Coil albums go, it is definitely my favorite. It is probably the best that I feel like they've put out since Comalize, and I still love this album. I could put this on right now, listen to it all the way through, and I would not be disappointed with the single track on this. So definitely enjoy Delirium. And then I picked up their, I guess, newest full length. I don't count the redo of Comalize. This is Black Anima. And this one was pretty good too. I know a lot of people like this one better than Delirium, but I don't know what it was about the Delirium album, but that one just, as far as these latter era Lacuna Coils go, that one was the one for me. So got a few more CDs to show you, and then we'll wrap up this portion of the collection. Next up, we have some power metal / traditional heavy metal. This is a band called Lady Beast with the Vulture's Amulet. I got this in an order with some other albums. This one was kind of a throw-in, and I think it ended up being my favorite of that order that I received. It wasn't the one that made me do the order, but it turned out to be the one that I enjoyed the most out of that order. This, I believe, came out in 2020. I'm wanting to say maybe 2021, 2020, somewhere around in there. But it is some pretty solid female-fronted traditional heavy metal, and it definitely has those power metal vibes going on in that as well. So if that sounds like something you're into, definitely check that out. Next up, we have some Swedish death metal. And judging from the artwork and stuff on this, I never would have pegged it as Swedeath. This is Lathora with March of the Parasite. Unfortunately, this band is no longer active, but this is pretty decent. And it's unfortunate that the artwork and stuff kind of probably put a lot of people off because, I mean, even the look, as J-Dog would say, they don't fit the bill there, brah. But it is some pretty decent Swedish death metal. It does go a little like over melodic at times, but all in all, it's a pretty decent listen. Next up, we have a ripper. This is Lego with a Sea of Duress. This was released on Unique Leader Records back in, I don't see the date, 2018. Death metal, probably progressive death metal is a good way to put this. I do dig it. And they have some definite Morbid Angel vibes going on, and then even like some early Emperor. I know that's not death metal, but they have some Emperor feels going on in their material as well. But with this full length, they kind of made a transition and kind of took that next step moving forward as a band, and they added that bit of progressiveness to their sound. Definitely did did wonders for their sound. I really like this. I'm looking forward to hearing more from this band, because if they can build off of the foundation that they laid with this album, then it's definitely a band that deserves attention for years to come. And then last but not least, we have a like a little obscure piece here. This is some more Swedish death metal. This is a demo, and unfortunately this is the only release that they ever put out. Came out about 20 years ago. This is the band To Unrest with their demo entitled Prearranged Funeral Activity. This is melodic death metal. It has that, definitely has, they're from Sweden, and they definitely have that old school Swedish death metal feel going on. It is only 3 tracks, so you can't just make a in-depth analysis of the sound of their music. But it's unfortunate that this is all they ever put out. This, I mean, that shows its age there. It's on this little verbatim Laid to Unrest self-wrote kind of CDR there, and it's already kind of smeared just from the age, but it still plays fine. And it probably hard to find one of these, but it is a decent little 3 tracks. As I was saying, it's just unfortunate that the band never progressed anywhere past this. That's all they ever put out. But I do dig the 3 tracks on there. I just wish there was more for me to dig into. That's all I've got for this CD collection. I'll be back next week, and we will continue moving forward through the collection. I'm going to try, I say it all the time, but I'm going to try to get back on doing more videos and all that good stuff. That's all for today. Stay classy, stay metal, all that good stuff. I hope you guys have a good week. As I said earlier, happy Father's Day to all of the fathers out there, and I will see you guys very soon. I promise.